All right, and we are live. So as we get started today, I just want to remind everyone we do have a code of conduct. You can see it at this URL. If you haven't read it, please do so before heading into the individual breakout sessions. Here at the IndieWeb, we are an intentionally positive community, and we strive to recognize and celebrate all creators on the IndieWeb, as well as the diversity of people, cultures, and opinions that each person brings to the IndieWeb. The code of conduct can really be summarized as be respectful to other people and apologize for mistakes. If you see someone behaving disrespectfully to someone else, please feel free to speak up. I think the community is at its best when we're looking out for one another. So if you feel uncomfortable during the conference, you can reach out to me, Greg McVeary, David Chansky, or there's also a list of community organizers on the code of conduct page under the resolving an issue header at this URL. So you can reach out to any of them as well at any time if you feel uncomfortable with anything going on. This code of conduct also applies to community participation outside of this conference. So as you continue to participate in chat and other areas of the IndieWeb, please always try to follow this code of conduct. Awesome. So the IndieWeb is really set apart by our principles. We have 11 of them, and they're all available at indieweb.org/principles. But I just wanted to emphasize 5 here today. The first one that I feel like is really important is own your data. We believe it's important to own your data. If you want to share your information with other companies and social networks, that's completely okay. And we believe that you should be the one choosing what you want to share and when you want to share it, as well as making sure to have all of your original data saved in a place that you have access and control to. So that's a really important thing for us. Design is more important than protocols. So oftentimes in communities that move technology forward, they can become overly focused on the plumbing that makes everything work. But we really think everything should start with the design of your website, what you want to convey to the world. And then we can figure out the protocols and the technology that can fit around how people are already designing websites. We don't really want to shoehorn everyone's websites into one standard way of doing things. Also, build platform agnostic platforms. So the goal of the IndieWeb is interoperability. Interoperability between programming languages, toolkits, websites, and platforms. It shouldn't matter how your website's built or what technology it uses. It should be able to use some simple web-based communications to exchange information with other sites. And then there's the community or plurality. The community never wants to have a single instance of how to do something. If a new way of doing things is being created by a single person, then we want to try to not make it a standard until other people in the community have embraced the same technique and we know that it can work across use cases. And finally, number 5, have fun. It's what the community is about. It's what this conference is about. And if we're not having fun with our websites, I think it's time to take a step back for a minute and figure out what makes us excited. So a large majority of communication and interaction happens across social media, and an ever-increasing amount of that happens in 1 to 3 what we call social media silos, right? We post information inside of them, communicate with others inside of them, and statistics say people are spending more and more time opening their phones, checking their social media accounts. But the question that we have to ask is why? Why do people use social media? Well, I think it's ease of use, right? It's simple to set up. It gives you one place to both read and write. And if you want to post something for people to read, you do it from the same page that you read your timeline from. You can also just click a single button to like or repost and give feedback to people. If you want to reply to something you're reading, you can just click a button, type some text, and it's as simple as that. Because of the ease of use and the integrated reading and writing environment of social media, we put more and more information in them, right? We share what we read, what we watch, what we eat, where we go, and what we're thinking. And where does that information end up? Locked in the social silos servers to be analyzed and sold. So what can we do about it? Well, one thing that I've tried to do is import old posts into my website. So this, in fact, is a post from 2009, before I was using my own website. This post was on Facebook, and I imported it into my website. Interestingly, it wasn't originally a Facebook post. It was using a location service called Looped, if anyone remembers that. And as you can see in the URL there in the post, I think Looped posted to Twitter, which posted to Facebook, but ultimately it's a good thing it ended up on Facebook, because if you click that link right there, uh-oh, it is gone. Looped, along with numerous other social silos, have closed their doors and taken our data with them, right? It's so common for these companies to close their doors and write similar blog posts announcing it, that there's even a meme, their incredible journey, right? Anytime you read a company article that starts talking about their incredible journey, it's typically followed by either them being sold or shutting their doors and taking all of our data with them. We even have the page on the IndieWeb website that lists all of what we call silo deaths to show how fragile the places we put our information are. So back to the big three we showed a minute ago. They haven't shut their doors yet, right? So we're safe? Wrong. So Twitter has been increasingly hostile to third-party developers and putting restrictions on their API. Instagram has never really even had an API. And Facebook shut down a large portion of their API in 2018. So what are we to do? Well, there's a number of social networks that are surfacing that encourage data ownership. That is where our time, attention, and data should really be spent. So you have micro.blog on the left. It's a new social network that's based on IndieWeb technologies and interoperates with any IndieWeb-friendly website. I actually use micro.blog every day, and I never open their app. I just post content on my site and share it with micro.blog. WordPress.com has been making more and more moves to create a social reading experience. It doesn't use a lot of the tools we use, but it is based on the open web using standards like RSS. So we definitely don't want to ignore that. It's a tool in helping people break free of silos. Finally, Mastodon has been seemingly growing a lot in light of issues that Twitter has been having. Now, Mastodon has its own potential for data fragility, as any single instance you use can be shut down like a social media silo. But the good thing about it is, because it uses an open standard, you can continue to interact with Mastodon users even if you are on your own instance that you own, or if you use a server that isn't Mastodon and can just communicate. So its ability to communicate is a big win for the open web. And finally, we've been taking deliberate steps towards pushing the social network experience forward in the IndieWeb, because we know that the integrated reading and writing experience of Twitter and Facebook is what is required if we're going to make IndieWeb tools available to everyone. And the key to that is what we've been calling social readers. Depending on how involved you've been with the community in the last year, you may have heard more about this or less about this. Well, over the last year, there's been a handful of social readers built. Multiple web-based readers with different interfaces, as well as a native iOS app and a native Android app. Each of these screenshots is a separate social reader made by a different person. The great thing is I can log into any of them today and read my social timelines. So here I have my text social timeline with a couple of recent posts in the iOS app that I built called Indigenous. There's an Android version as well built by Swintel, and I don't have the Android, so I can't demo that, but it would work similarly. Here, the top post is marked as read, and the rest are left as unread. Well, here, I can see the same channel in Monocle. It's a web-based reader built by Aaron Parecki, and the same content is there, just with different styles. You can tell with the yellow glow that the posts at the bottom haven't been read yet. And here's another web-based reader built by Grant Richmond and Jonathan LaCour called Together. Notice you still see the same three posts, just with a different interface. None of my data actually sits inside of these apps. They only have data when I give them access. Speaking of access, in the IndieWeb, you control the access. A huge thing is about owning your data, as I mentioned, and having control. So here, when I'm about to log into Monocle, my site presents me with the permissions that Monocle is requesting, and I can approve or deny specific permissions. Then Monocle will only be able to do what I allow it to do. I have all of the notifications that my website receives funnel through my social reader. So it provides a one-stop shop to be able to read what people send me over Twitter, Mastodon, micro.blog, and from website to website. I even have an on this day feed that gets loaded up with new posts every day at midnight. So I can see what has happened this day throughout the years on my website. This is one really great thing about social readers. It's the flexibility, because it's all based on open standards like microformats, RSS, and JSON feed. You can really get them to become anything you want them to be. And the integrated reading and writing experience has arrived for the IndieWeb. Here, I am reading a post in Monocle on the top left while writing a reply in line. Once I hit reply, it posts to my website in the bottom left, where I own my data. Finally, on the right, since the original post was from Twitter, I syndicate my reply out to my Twitter account so that the original poster can read it. Which brings up an important part of the IndieWeb for social readers is syndication. There's this term called POSSE, which stands for Publish on Your Own Site, Syndicate Elsewhere. And here you can see Aaron Parecki posted 3 photos with some text on his website about an interaction he had using a social reader. And here are the screenshots of that same post syndicated out to Mastodon and Twitter. It comes to a core IndieWeb philosophy I mentioned, which is that embracing the IndieWeb shouldn't be shutting out the rest of the world. Really, it's all about interoperability. So how do we get to use social readers? Since the data doesn't live inside of the readers, you need a microsub server. There are some hosted versions, and some you need to host yourself. And finally, some that are still getting their final touches. But as I mentioned in the principles, it's all about plurality. So about a year ago, Aaron Parecki was working on Aperture, the logo at the top. And since then, 6 other microsub servers have been built and are either available or will be available in the near future. Even Micro.blog has been building support for microsub in the past month. So check out what servers are available and select one to use, or start signing into your social readers today. You can go ahead and visit indieweb.org/microsub if you don't have a microsub reader set up yet. So what we'll want to go ahead and do is take a look at the schedule, and we can start working through the upcoming time. Where did my mouse go? All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop presenting while I find my web browser. Let's see. Multiple windows can be very difficult. All right, here we go. All right, and then we're going to share. All right, let's see here. Share this screen. All right. So we've got the schedule here. All right, so we're going to be headed into personal site demos next, and then we'll wrap up this kind of whole group time doing session scheduling, which we went ahead and got a start with in the Etherpad. But we'll finalize those so we can do the session grid, and then we'll go ahead and take a group photo of everyone in the Google Hangouts, and then we will head off into session time. So how, I guess we did not discuss what order we want to do the personal site demos in, but yeah, does anyone want to start?
Why don't you start with yours since you're already set up?
Okay.
And then we'll just, and then I'm going to go just down the line backwards. And if you don't want a demo, nobody has to demo, but you're welcome to. And I'll just go down from like my picture in my Google Hangouts and go from left to right. And then if you don't want a demo, we'll just go on to the next, I guess. Or if people got a better idea, I don't know.
Sounds good. That, or people can also just put in the chat if they're like want to be up next. Either way works. All right. So my name is Eddie, and my website is eddiehinkle.com. So the most recent thing I did on my website is actually giving my homepage a new theme, which I'm pretty excited about. The website was very kind of plain and very businessy, and I added this map and gave it a comic style, which I was excited about, and went ahead and started adding some nice dark borders and some colorful shadows. I'm not super keen on the actual colors I'm using now, kind of the red and pink peach color. So not super excited about those colors, but I figure it's all about iteration. So I went ahead and started, and I've got my recently watched, recently listened posts. So earlier, these were all very small little icons that were hard to navigate, and it didn't work very well on mobile. So I'm excited about this. When it's mobile, it just shows one, and you can scroll left and right through like the podcasts and the photos. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then of course it has view all. So any of the sections you can click view all, and it'll take you to the existing pages. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited about my styling. I've had this data available for a while, like my location and everything, but I haven't been using it. So kind of copying Aaron Preki and a bunch of other people who have done it way before me. I've got my battery status of my phone, my local time, wherever I'm at. And then it uses my last check-in to center my map location. And then it shows where I last checked in at. So I went to McDonald's for lunch, as you can tell. But yeah, so that is me. Up next, Greg McVeary.
Oh, I was going to go down the line, not start with me, but okay. I'll.
Oh, sorry, I saw.
No, I'm fine.
One here on yours.
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
Come on, I got it. I got to figure out where the share screen button is. There it is. And then try not to do the whole. Hold on one second. Before I'll make cancel, so I'm just going to switch and then share screens. No, it's impossible.
So as you start, who's going to go next then if you're going
just
down?
+1 in the Google Hangout if you want to go next. Like, in the chat room. Or do you guys not see that if you're on like a tablet or something? Or I guess we could use the meta channel too. All right, can you guys see my screen? Are you looking at my screen?
Yep. Yeah, I see your website.
So updates. This is my website. It's at jgregorymcveary.com. And this is, I've been kind of working on it since about IndieWebCamp New York. Recently, what I've been fooling with is trying to bring in my annotations back from just hosting my own annotations. I also, because I love using Hypothesis because all my friends do, so it's kind of a place where we can hang out. So I've been trying to capture those back. It's just exporting them to HTML for now. Fooling around with setting them up differently, but that's as far as I've gotten. And then right now, I like to, and I got to figure out what's going on. I like to favorite all the images I use, Creative Commons images, to kind of like give a shout out to the artists. Right now, I'm just pumping it in as an RSS feed from Flickr, but I'd love to find out, not that I would know what to do, if you can get like your faves as like an API, so I could actually style the pictures and and it's just stopped because I've added a lot more pictures since then. So I got to kick the feed and see what's going on there. And then what I use Gnome for kind of my social stream. And you can kind of see you can see like I was sort of tweeting and talking about the chat or the Eddie's keynote there. But what I've done is as many of you know, I've been trying to work on different badging platforms. So I've been fooling around with web mention badges and displaying them. And that's kind of what I might be working on this weekend. So that's pretty much my site. And I'll pass it off to the next person. And as soon as I figure out how to stop screen share, I think I'm done. Okay.
Well, I said I'd go next, so let's see if I can also screen share. So I'm Grant. Website is grant.codes. Hopefully you can see it now.
Yep, we can see it.
Cool. And then, so I've not done too much recently. It's a fairly basic just stream of stuff. The last thing I just fixed earlier today was I got the RSVPs working again. I had this working a long time ago, but I don't send it very often. I rebuilt my website and broke them all. So I just got this individual yes to show up again. And then I guess the other thing I did before was set up a photos view. So there's a load of duplicates, but it comes in as a big grid instead of just like a stream like you saw in the last one, and you can click onto each photo to get a zoomed in view. And yeah, I guess that's all I've done recently.
Awesome. Thanks, Grant.
I'll go next. Yeah.
Oh, recursion. How do I switch this off?
That was me. All right. So my name is Chris Aldrich, and I'm at bafosacco.com. 2 F's, 1 CK. The last thing I built on my website, I had for a while had a following page that lists all of the sites that I'm following in most of social media. And they're done by category. So I got IndieWeb at the top, a bunch of bloggers I follow, typically with a photo, a name, and a quick description of what each are. And then way down at the bottom of this page, I've got a quick description of what this is. And I was chatting with, or I mentioned last night that I publish OPML files. Somebody had asked me what feed reader I use, and I'm not yet using a microsub reader setup yet, although eventually we'll be transferring to that. But I use InnoReader, which provides OPML subscriptions. So whenever I add a site to my website, it goes into one of these categories, and all these categories have individual OPML files, which InnoReader picks up. So I follow somebody from my site, which automatically pings InnoReader and adds that to my feed reading list, which is quick, simple, handy, and super useful. But having had a following page for a while, I thought I ought to add a followers page. So I have quickly mocked this up, and I'm still slowly iterating on it. And eventually we'll add some other stuff. But if you are following me and have sent me a web mention or a mention that you're doing so on services like Google+, I guess you could do it on Instagram if you were careful about it. Twitter works as well. But I have individual specific web mentions of people saying they've added me to either blog rolls or lists on various platforms. And then down here at the bottom, I have a generic, somebody's mentioned that they're following me, of which there are 3 here now. And then there's some generic people who have mentioned that I'm doing this on my page, apparently including myself. So if you're following me and you either send me a web mention or I see a notification somewhere, I usually force a web mention and then tag it onto this page automatically, which is, I think I may be the only person doing this at the moment, but my guess is it's not super hard to do and easy to reassign web mentions to individual pages, especially if you're in WordPress. So there we go. That's me. Next.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Anyone either want to demo their website, or you can just say your name and URL?
I can go next.
All right.
Hi, I'm Doug Beal, and my website is dougbeal.com. It's running WordPress. Thanks to David's hard work, it just works. I've embedded my wiki URL page through a plugin. So that's kind of how I keep track of what I'm doing. And well, I updated it, but. And then my latest project is I've started a podcast, and the feed is generated by Hugo, but it does not have any microformatting yet. So, wah wah. I guess that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug. That's great.
I can go ahead and show my website a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So my name is Juan. Let's see if I can get this to work. Can you guys see me?
Yep, we can hear you. I see you.
Okay. Can you see my website right here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my name is Juan. I'm new to all of this indie web stuff. I just kind of been working on my website on a little bit of my free time, but it's been a cool adventure so far. I was on my website. It's juanpinto.me, and got a little bit of introduction. I have some blog posts here, and then my latest social posts. And I got some syndication going to Instagram and Twitter and Mastodon. Let's see, just some basic, my blog post. I have right here my latest social blog post, a macro blog post, mostly about my family, as you can see. And then, yeah, just some basic about project. My latest kind of thing that I've been working on is a photos page. It's not ready from prime time yet, so there's no link to it directly, but you can find it just at juanpinto.me/photos. I'm just trying to make things kind of, the idea is for it to pull whatever photos I have and the social post, whether it's a tweet or on Instagram or whatever it is. But yeah, like I said, I'm new to all of this, and I'm currently in Israel teaching English as a Fulbright fellow. And so because of the time zone, I'm not going to be able to stick around very much for the sessions, unfortunately, but I'll definitely watch them later on when I'm awake. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thanks, Juan. Yeah, unfortunately, that is a unfortunate time zone change, but definitely we're glad you can join us for the kickoff. And yeah, definitely read the notes, watch any videos after the fact. And yeah, welcome to the community.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Anyone else, or are we ready to move forward?
Okay, I guess I can go, at least for briefly. See if I can get this to work. I'm Mike McAllister, aka Working Writer. My site is michaelmcallister.com. It is not terribly exciting, although I'd like to think that it's informative. And give me a, yeah.
We get it. We were supposed to actually be on a whole other like video server. At the last second, we had to throw on Google Hangouts. So people understand. Don't worry.
Yeah, things change.
Okay, there we go. And is it visible?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yay. Okay, so basic WordPress site. Okay, so the last thing I did, this was just this week, I learned about the IndieWeb sharing buttons. So this is, I tried to turn this into a, put this, use the like button, but the like is not working yet. Trying to figure that out. So this is, but it worked. So that at least it got on my site, and plan to be using those fairly regularly. And I'm a writer, so this is my most recent contribution to the web for Linux Journal, and just the usual stuff. So I am using the SemPress theme, and I've got all of the IndieWeb plugins installed, but I'm not sure they're entirely working because I haven't spent a lot of time on it. But that's why I'm here this weekend.
Awesome. Looks great. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for the opportunity.
And we'll be doing a getting started and learning more about WordPress in IndieWeb session. So yeah, so you'll be there, and it's gonna be cool.
All right. So speaking of sessions, that is up next. I guess let's go ahead and we'll do a if everyone wants to turn their webcams on at the same time, then we'll go ahead and do a screenshot of everyone that's here, and then we'll go ahead and go into finalizing the sessions. Alrighty, and let's see. Cameraman, will this allow me to?
I don't think we have a grid view like we get with like Zoom.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's all I was trying to see if I could turn it into a grid. Okay. Let's see here.
Should everyone grab their own screenshot and then we can stitch them together?
That's true. That, or I can actually just go through. I'll make each person big here, and then
turn it into a GIF. Everybody just one of it just goes down the line, and we'll just record it and turn it into one big.
There we go. I'll take a photo of each person's. Okay. Chris Aldrich, ready? 3, 2, 1, click. All right, and then Doug. Ready? And 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right, and Grant. Ready? And 3, 2, 1. All right, and Greg. Ready? And 3, 2, 1. Perfect. And Juan. Ready? And 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Okay, no worries, Michael. We will take a screenshot of your avatar. All right, and I will take one of myself. Hopefully my eyes look in the right direction.
Yeah, look down at your camera.
I'm talking.
Yep, 3, 2. All right, I think I did it there. All right, perfect. So I will stitch those together afterwards, and we'll get a nice group photo. All right, so session scheduling. We've got a Etherpad set up. It is how to propose a session. All right, open this new tab. There we go. All right, so if you go to, probably the easiest way to get to it is to go to indieweb.org/2019/online, and then click on the how to propose sessions on the legend. And then it says, we will use this Etherpad with a link to the Etherpad. Oh, there we go. Good job, Grant. The downfall of having 2 screens. All right.
And
So,
4 chats.
yeah, 4 chats. All right. So, I went ahead earlier today and tried to make all the normal text not highlighted so we can see if there's any major changes. So, all right. So the only changes are people's +1s. So that's perfect. All right. So we can just start from the top and let's see here. So micro formats for Weebly.
Would you want to take a step back, because there's 1 or 2
Yes.
people who I know haven't been to a camp
Oh.
that don't understand or may not understand what sessions are, how they're proposed, how they're set up.
That's
so we
a very
may
good
want to
point.
take a half step back, at least for
Thank you
those
for thank you for that, Chris. I totally spaced. All right. So if you have never been to an IndieWebCamp before, then basically what we do is it's an unconference. And so we propose sessions based on things that we're interested in. And then we kind of say, okay, I'd like to go to this session, and whatever sessions have the most interest in the main time slots, we go ahead and we have those be the official sessions. Now, with this being online, we have a wide variety of time zones that we can actually do things in, as opposed to a physical conference where we have, I think, like a 4-hour time period. So pretty much any session that people want to happen can happen, as long as there's 2 people who are interested in it. So that definitely is doable. The idea is basically any sessions that have the most amount of people during a time period, that's the time period for the session to happen. And so, first of all, are there any topics that people are interested in that if they haven't seen the Etherpad, that they just want to say that they're interested in, or if you have looked at the Etherpad and it's not represented, but it's something you want to talk about, feel free to go ahead and bring that up, and we can go ahead and add it to the list of things that we want to try to cover.
And
I was thinking micro formats for podcasts.
I can help out with that. I have a template, and especially now the Granary's already built the. It's so nice because now we have an export with Granary. So I'd love that session too. That'd be fun.
Awesome.
I have a page, like some templates built too, that we can look at.
The other thing I noticed, and I might propose too, now that we're here and I've seen bits of the schedule starting to form, although obviously it's not all there yet. And given the number of time zones, because I see there's a handful of people signed up for certain things across multiple time zones. So I could easily see a particular session being done once on like US daytime, and then being done again with a whole nother group of people, based in Asia and or Europe at a second time later in the day. And we could just take those Etherpads, supplement them, and then dump them all at the end of the day. So technically one session could be done twice in
Absolutely.
some sense. And there's nothing that really prevents us from doing that, interestingly, particularly because it's such a huge swath of time zones. And then the other thing for those who are new, typically there's a bunch of sessions, and then the second day of camp is a hack day. And more often than not, most people end up hacking on things from ideas that were generated from sessions. So if you have ideas of things that you want to set up or improve on your own website, proposing that as an idea for a general session usually gets some conversation and methods and ideas up off the ground, so that when you start hacking on day 2, you've got a template and some idea of what you want to do and how you want to do it. So as you're thinking of what other sessions to propose in addition to the list that's there now, use that as a potential source of ideas. Because really the big point of camp is, it's about things that when you come to camp, what are you interested in doing? How are you interested in doing it? And then leveraging off ideas other people have along the way. So campus is only as good as you make it. So propose ideas at will.
Definitely. That was a great summary. Thank you, Chris. So I think Greg went ahead. Was it Greg or someone else actually? So it looks like in the Etherpad, Doug, thank you, Doug, went ahead and created a template for micro formats for podcasts. Typically, when we do this in person, there's a big sticky note. So the Etherpad is basically our virtual sticky note board. Since we don't have a physical object that we can have in front of all of us. But yeah, so anyone who is interested, I guess, Doug, since you primarily suggested that, if you have some times that are best for you, absolutely feel free to go ahead and make a note of those on the Etherpad. That way, we can make sure that it works for a time, since you were kind of the one most interested in it, and then we can fill in some more times. Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, are there any other topics that people are interested in that they haven't had a chance to propose or haven't seen on the Etherpad or anything?
Yep, you can come in. I'm muted. No.
You're
right.
not on mute, Greg.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so let's see here. If no one has any other suggestions, I will go ahead and see if I can start at the top, and if we can find some of the areas where the busiest times start to collide, and see if we have any actual session collisions where we might want to shift them one way or another. So let me go ahead and actually share my screen. That would probably be helpful. So
And while you're doing that too, if they're, I'll make a particular appeal to Michael, since I know he's relatively new. If there's any ideas or things he might want to think about or discuss over the weekend that particularly appeal to his proclivities. I know there's a handful of things he's probably already interested in, but if there are things he, wants to explore, I almost guarantee that, I and others would jump in, because I know I've seen his website before and know his background a little. And so anything he might propose, I'm probably, I may be all in for it myself.
I'm going to have to think a lot. I'm in the middle. I've got 2 conversations going on, and theoretically I'm supposed to be working.
No, aren't we all?
Let's work.
In fact, you'll notice that first I've had a conflict come up at 1 o'clock today here. So I've already written in a note in that session that's right on the top of Eddie's screen saying, there's a bunch of people that are interested in that session at that time, and I may not be able to do it. But my guess is we could, there's enough of an overlap of people that we could probably do it later this afternoon at 4 Pacific. And get a bunch of that same group. But if you and Rose want to jump in and kind of tinker around on the early side, we can do that. But I already know I'm going to be stuck at 1 o'clock Pacific.
But you're free again at the next time slot, the 4 o'clock Pacific time. All right.
In fact, I can do it there, and then looks like that's probably the next best group. But then if Michael is interested, we can chat about it again later this evening.
Well, Chris, do you want to take the lead and then moving that down to the where the final, is there a final time slot, or are we doing that on do you want to show, like, you can copy and paste that session and put that on the actual grid? Is that what we're doing, Eddie? Like now that
Oh
that would
yeah,
be approved.
yeah. So right now I'm going through the I'm trying to my screen should be shared and I'm scrolling through the things. So right here we've got digital commonplaces. So it looks like from what Chris is saying, the Saturday at basically midnight UTC,
yeah.
because he's not available at the 2100 UTC anymore. So
No,
it looks like
I can't. Oh yeah, the 2100.
Well, it's your session, Chris.
Although there's no reason we couldn't have it at the 2100. Although I know Greg and a few others have suggested things that might kind of hit and overlap with.
I'd rather, if Doug's here now and he wants to do micro format podcasts, and then if anybody else wants to help, so I don't mess Doug up, I'd rather just be able to bang that out quick before my kids get home from school. So 2100 for that works pretty good for me. I don't know if for the podcasting session, and Eddie's here too, and he might know more than me. Probably knows way more than me. But I think I'm pretty good.
I have played around with
pretty, and it went into greenery perfect, and it spits out the RSS nice. So I can show that quickly at 2100.
Nice. Yeah, that's excellent.
And we can have multiple sessions going. I mean, because what happens, guys, if there's like, we don't have to have just 2100. You would just have to we'd ask you to record, start up a Google Hangout or some way to chat with somebody, and you record your screen, and we'll get it from you afterwards. We don't have to have
Absolutely.
just one session per time slot.
Absolutely, we can have multiple. So let's see here. All right, there's a plus half going in there. All right, so that looks like that for profile pages. Looks like that is the best, unless Chris Aldrich is also about to add something to other time zones as well. All right, does anyone else want to, before I start looking at a potential final time slot, want to go ahead and add in their stuff? I see Doug Beal added in for Friday at 2200, and then Chris has added in for 2, and someone else is adding in for Saturday at 1600.
I'm trying to think. That's 11 in the morning on Saturday. Okay, not 11 at night.
11. Nope. Yep. 11 in the morning, East Coast time.
All right. Just didn't want to mess up. All of those work for me, so I'm fine. Although
Gotcha.
It's a Saturday and the weekend, so I'm always on the chances are something's going to go wrong anyways. So none of the time slots on Saturday should ever be based on my availability, because that's always up to the whims of children.
All right. So it looks like the two best here are Friday, 2200 UTC, or Saturday, 1600 UTC. So I'm going to write down both those in case we have conflicts. That kind of helps potentially sway one or the other. All right. Read posts, Indie Book Club. We've got 2 time slots here. 1, 2.
That's
3,
Prager's session,
4,
so
5.
he's not on, but we should try to make sure it's one that he's available.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like they're even. So it's one or the other. So we'll obviously
Let him pick. If it's one of the other,
yeah, exactly. He can pick. He's available for both. So we'll see what turns out. Let me write in both the times. Friday 2300 UTC.
And I'll ping him in chat.
That sounds good. It'll also be interesting to see if there's any conflicts, because if one's conflicted and one's not, that might help lean it to an empty slot. All right, and then setting up WordPress with the IndieWeb.
I'd love to do that at a time that if Michael was around, but he said he may not know when he's around.
Let's see here.
For that WordPress session, I know David and I are, both optional. We probably won't get as much out of it as others, so I don't mind doing it at a time. Jeez, dog.
Chris,
The dog is he's a Drupalista.
Well, we thought about just like leaving that as like a broad window, and if people came in and just said, "Hey, I'd love to learn about that," but if we're in another session, we'd have to like schedule it. But we could also just like leave that as kind of an open channel. Or right now, Michael, if you want it's time, if you have a time and you want to go through, we can help. No pressure though. Like
yeah.
And we can do it once today sometime, and then once again either late night tonight or early tomorrow, because I see Rose is on there and interested for.
Yo.
Oh yeah, she's switching over to WordPress, so we might want to wait and find out when she's available.
But she's in Europe, so what I'm saying is it's going to be, and David and I will stay up until the wee hours of the night to have that chat, and can do it a second time.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it looks like obviously
I
since
would.
you have a what's that, Michael?
So, like I said, I got other things to do, but as far as the WordPress thing, either later this evening or after 3 on Saturday would be best for me.
What time zone are you in, Michael?
Central.
Central? Okay.
Friday. So they have it you guys have it at 1800 Central. No, that's not with Rose. Rose is available. Well, if you want to do it again with Rose.
Yeah, what I'm saying is let's not worry about Rose. We can do Rose later in the night.
So it looks like you guys could do either 1800 or 11 o'clock at night Central.
And my guess is we could even do 9, 10, 11 tonight.
Yeah, that's one of those rooms that, like, if somebody stops by and says, "Hey, I need help with WordPress," I'm probably just going to drop out of whatever I'm doing and be like, "Okay, let's go talk."
And then sometime over the day too, the other option is if it's something you want to hack on to as well on Saturday or Sunday, both David Shansky and I should be around a big chunks of the weekend. We can kind of sit down and help you out and do a specific thing rather than a more broad general. He and I are listed, but we already have websites that are up and running, and other than just chewing the fat, which we already do regularly. But if you want to do, what is it? That's 2100 is 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock tonight, Central Time, I think. We can do this.
And actually, one of my pain points is generating the events for Homebrew Website Club Seattle. It's like a bunch of manual markdown, and I kind of feel like I'm just copying it and cargo culting it. So I'd really love to, I don't know, have a template, or I don't really know.
Do you mean for the WordPress or the actual wiki?
Yeah, the WordPress event that I create so people can RSVP to it.
You have one? I think you're the only person.
Yeah, I'm the only person. But
I've got a template I've used before too, but it's all manual every time I do it.
We could also just take the micro formats podcast and just turn it into the general micro format session. If Grant's around too, he can hop in there.
Well, this is probably pretty WordPress specific. And,
everything's WordPress.
I use location as well, so.
Cool.
I don't get a Google Map or anything because it's all manual markup that I think I copied from the wiki. So
propose a session then.
There you go.
Okay. WordPress, I think the solution would be very specific to WordPress. Should I just
Yeah, it would be. Or you can just wait and make it that's your hack project, and that's what you're gonna spend tomorrow, or propose a session, and then that's and then maybe Dave, when David's around, because he'd probably be all over that. Chris seems like he already has a template, so he'd probably be interested in. Well, I don't want to speak for either one, especially because Chris is here.
Okay, I'll create a new entry for it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to solve.
Well, yeah, and I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of infrastructure because it's all manual.
They never followed up, but a while back, Modern Tribe, they have a plugin called the Events Calendar, and they had talked about trying to add in, trying to make it so it would to IndieWeb the plugin, but never heard back. They thought it was a quick conversation, but it would have been cool because that's a great Events Calendar plugin.
So there are some nice new sessions at the bottom here, and I have no idea what UTC time is for those ones. So I'm going to look at those real
I actually
quick.
installed a little UTC program for the Mac, just so it's up in my corner right now. I found a
Nice.
tiny little plugin because I keep. Well, I also I have a lot of meetings because I do a lot of internet, and I miss UTC meetings. I mess it up all the time. And now daylight saving time is going to start, and it's just going to get worse. Okay.
All right, so 1400 UTC for me is 9 a.m. Okay, so this is 9 a.m. my time. All right, I'll go ahead and just jot this down for anyone else looking from different time zones. This would be 9 East Coast time, which would then be -4. So then I think Pacific 6-3. Okay, 06. See.
All right, I see what you're doing. I'll try to catch up so we're not watching and start at the bottom if those aren't done on the other ones. Oh no, the other ones are done.
Sure. So, oh wait, I need to make that an hour later. All right, and then this. I'm not going to spend all my time doing this, but let's see here. 1800.
Yeah, we can do that offline in a second.
Yeah, 1800. That's 3 hours forward. So then 2, 1. All right. So then that's 13 EST.
I tried to do math listening to your math, and I couldn't do it at the same time.
I bet I was throwing you off. All right. There we go. All right. I actually can do any of those time slots. So I will +1 all of yours. That doesn't really help us narrow it down, but if we have an open time slot and some conflicts, then.
Yeah, I went through the other ones and looked at times, and there's 3, or I think there's 2. They're definitely going to follow up right on from each other. And then there's another one that had a 50-50. So then there would be 3 in a row. So I think you could add this one in to make it 4 in a row.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So it'd be like 4 straight hours of sessions.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they match like a developer track too, the 4 hours. So it works out pretty well.
So which one of these 4 would create 4 in a row?
Grant.
I'm not sure right now. What's it?
Okay.
There's 1600 and then 1500 and 1800. So on that one, 1700, which I didn't write in, but that would be fine as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. Let's see. Yeah, we can do that. So 1700 to 1800 UTC.
Although 1700 to 1800 has the most amount of people for auto auth.
What does it?
Oh, it does?
Including Grant. That's probably why Grant didn't put it. Yeah, I'm guessing that's maybe why you didn't put it originally.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking nonsense. It should be 1900 for my one.
Oh, perfect.
The time we make 4 in a row.
Yeah, and that's 4 in a row.
Excellent. Yeah. So Saturday, 1900 UTC. All right. I should probably create a second document here real quick so that we can actually see the finalized times in one page, because there's a lot of scrolling having to happen.
Or you could temporarily just put it on the wiki, and then we can move it around as we need to. But
that's
obviously,
true.
Only one of us should edit it and do that at the same time. If you're sharing your screen, we can all watch it as you do it.
That's true.
That not touch it.
That way there are not conflicts with wiki edits.
Yes, wiki edit conflicts are not fun.
So what?
Or just use a section of the Etherpad at the bottom. And
how'd you spend your Friday night? Oh, it was awesome. I watched somebody edit a wiki.
You mean that's not what you do every Friday night?
Let's see here. All right, yeah, definitely need a stop over place. All right, here we go. So micro format for Weebly is
And that's just
currently
a project for
Friday.
Gregor and I. So if he wants in, we'll do it. If not, I'll
Awesome.
drop that one. But I think we can get a lot of churches and teachers. Like a lot of people use Weebly. A lot of churches use Weebly, and I've getting a lot of interest from religious organizations just through Cub Scouts about all the website stuff. And a lot of teachers.
Oh yeah.
Weebly. Yeah. So I'm hoping I can do it. I'll stop talking while you edit. Or
no, you're good.
All right. No, so like, and I'm hoping because like I'm looking at it, and I mean their themes look pretty easy to edit. I'm hoping I can, and I was able to do it with Blogger. I'm like, well, if I can do it with Blogger, I wonder if I can do it with Weebly too. Be fun little hack on.
But definitely.
It might be. It might be what I choose to do for Hack Day. I don't know, as well.
Connected to Rosemary's MacBook Pro and Rosemary Orchard's iPhone.
Gotcha. Okay, so then this is the one where if we do it Saturday at 1600, which is here, then it would be a bunch in a row.
When I looked, they were equal, but they might not be equal now.
I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half. Oh, okay. So the Friday technically has more people that can make it by a half. Good job, Chris Aldrich.
For which one?
The profile pages.
Okay.
So right now we don't have a whole lot on Friday, so maybe we'll try. And again, we can have multiple. We can have multiple of it, but I guess let's potentially say Friday 2200 UTC as the primary, and then we could do a runner-up of Saturday 1600 UTC.
Oh, no, it's not even anymore. Look at that. No, I'm teasing.
Nice. All right. So that is profile pages, read posts. We've got Friday 2300 or Saturday 100 UTC. So the Saturday 100 UTC would be, I believe they're even. That would technically be right after Digital Commonplaces, which could be helpful. Or Friday 2300 would be right after Microformats for Weebly. So
and that's,
that one
again,
can go
like, I can cancel that session. Please don't keep that one on there for any particular reason. That can be done offline on my own screen as well.
Yeah, so I guess let's put this Friday 2300 UTC, so that we have something. I think there's a lot going on Saturday later on. So, oh, I see what's going on here. Okay.
Can we do the microformats for podcasting at 2100? Just because I want to try to do it before my kids get home from school, if possible.
Yes, that
21.
Like in a half hour.
Probably be okay.
I can't hear Rose. Did anybody hear Rose?
It was very, very faint. Are you there, Rose?
Is that any better?
Yeah, a little bit better. Now I can hear you.
Okay. Apparently, despite the fact that my input is selected with my headphones, it was using the mic inside of my Mac and comm shell. That's useful. Yeah, I was going to say that the 35 minutes. I keep thinking UTC.
Hey, Rose, I hate to say it, we can't make it out. You can type it in either chat and in the Hangout or on the IndieWeb chat. screen. Where is he? Okay. Oh, I'm looking at his screen.
All right, and then so we've got WordPress. We've got 2 sections for WordPress. One Saturday at 0500 UTC. And then one Saturday at 700 UTC. And then auto off, we've got Saturday at 1700, so that's later on. Auto off, Saturday 1700 UTC. Groups at 1800 UTC. Post type testing is at 1900 UTC. So all 3 of those are right at the end of the day too, because then 200 or 2000 UTC is the main session again. So then micro formats, you said you wanted to do that at 2100 tonight. So then that moves that up here. Micro formats for podcasts. Friday, 2100 UTC. And then events in WordPress. Is there a time that works best for everyone for that? I think the 2 key people for that is Chris and Doug.
And probably David too.
And David.
I'm stuck at 1 Pacific, so I can't do the 2100 UTC. But I could probably catch it sometime later this afternoon. And I think even for that session, we should kind of brainstorm the particular data pieces, because I think David actually would have built it already and put it into PostKinds, but it's a whole bunch of different data than most other PostKinds already require. So it's really about putting those data types into PostKinds in some way and creating a UI for it. That's really been the bigger issue for why it doesn't exist already. So it's literally what are the data types and how to jam those into PostKinds. So even if we sketch out how to pull that off, we can build it into PostKinds, and maybe the quickest and easiest way to actually get that done.
Let's see here. So, so you said you can't make the 2100 one, Chris, right?
No, but I can do almost any time later this afternoon.
Okay.
Probably.
So
depending on what else is going
on. Midnight UTC, but that does conflict with digital commonplaces. But I see that you're also interested, Rose. Is there another time that I guess works for Rose, Doug, and Chris? Could do earlier. Okay. Oh yeah, because there is we've got 2200. Okay, there is stuff. So 2200 and 2300. I don't know if Chris or Rose or anyone had been planning to go to other things at those 2. Let's see, read posts. I didn't. Okay, so yeah, so in profile pages at 2200, Chris and Rose were going to be at that. Let's see here. So it seems like we've got a couple around 2,200 events in WordPress. Gotcha. Okay, or much later, which would probably be super early Chris's time. How late are you willing to stay up, Chris?
I'm usually around until 2, 3 in the morning. Pacific.
Let's see
I'll probably
here. So then,
so Pacific, which is what? I don't know. 800, I guess.
I'm hoping for those spontaneous events that are going to happen in Europe, like at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning my time. So I usually go to bed. I mean, like I keep finding myself up when everybody's still awake. Like I'm getting up for the day at like 5, and everyone's still in chat from the night before. Pacific time, of course. But. Is that Eddie doing that? Who is that? It sounds pretty cool.
It's impressive how useful Post-it notes can be, isn't it? All right, I'm gonna head out. I'll catch you guys around 2:45, 3 for whatever session starts then.
Bye.
Is that Eddie?
Yeah, Eddie. Yeah, I wonder if he's frozen because he doesn't. I don't think he even hears us. That he knows his audio is messed up.
I mean, I seen his video, but
I will ping him in chat. Hey, why don't we just take this offline now, and then we'll finish scheduling the. I think all the sessions are pretty much finalized, are they not? And then we could just schedule in chat, get it up on the wiki, and then be back for the next sessions. Or we can leave it clear too. I don't know if Eddie's still here though.
and his screen has been updating for me.
Okay. Oh, he just typed in "I'm here."
Obviously, so those are all the ones that
Do you guys think we can finish the planning? I'm looking at it now, or is it the schedule? Oh, but we lost his screen where Eddie's doing that on the other page. I wonder how close we are to like having the schedule finalized. Okay, there it is. So, everybody, just talking to Eddie, what we're going to do now is, since with the first session starting in about a half hour, we're going to take a break now. We're going to shut down the feeds, and we will be back at 2100 UTC. Eddie and I, and anybody else who wants to help, we will finish getting the schedule finalized and up on the IndieWeb Wiki. But I think this has been a great launch, and I want to thank Eddie, who has worked so hard putting together the first online event in 5 years. We have 22 people already committed to showing up, and we had 10 people here tonight, so it's been great. And so we'll see you in about a half hour. Bye, everybody.